Aloke Bajpai Group CEO with Ixigo joins us now, and the moot point here is that hotel stocks are doing well, hospitality industry is doing well, travel is doing very well. So, what are the trends this holiday season? How are they different from last year? And for a online hotel like Ixigo, which is in the business of booking tickets, booking hotels, railway tickets, and also airline tickets, what are the trends like? So, Alok, good morning. Thank you for joining us. How is
Good morning.
December
Thank you for having me on.
right? How is December 2024 different from December 2023?
Well, I think the setup from November was very nice because we had one of the strongest marriage seasons this year. So that's where we are coming from in November. And in December, I think two things are happening. I mean, one is that, because of the capacity constraints on domestic, right, the fares have been hitting all-time highs. Like if we look at the last-minute fares on most routes for next week, which is where the vacations begin, we are seeing all-time high fares, across the board. And I think international is where the opportunities still are, and we see a lot of international starting to pick up for Christmas, New Year break. So just to give you some stats, right? So on domestic side, I think the surprises this year have been that places like Jammu, Srinagar, and Dehradun, which would be quite cold places to visit this time of the year, have actually seen a phenomenal growth this time around. Udaipur has done exceedingly well, and we are also seeing Leh starting to pick up, right? So it seems like a lot of people want to experience snow for the first time and sort of be at these colder places this time of the year. On the non sort of leisure destinations, right? So we've seen Varanasi, Amritsar, which are more like spiritual destinations, sort of pick up very nicely. So Varanasi is up 6x a year for us. Shirdi is up 22%, Tirupati is up 67% year on year. So I think a lot of people also want to combine a spiritual break with a New Year break this time around. And on the international side, we've seen places like Vietnam pick up big time this year. We've seen the usual suspects, Thailand, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, etc., obviously doing very well, more than 100% year-on-year growth for some of these places for us. And then, of course, Bali has picked up this year. Bali is 96% up for us. Vietnam is 100% plus
Right.
up for us. So I think we are seeing a lot of people switch to taking international trips just because the airfares and hotel rates in some of the Indian destinations have hit that point where you can make that switch and still save money.
Fair point. But domestically, there is one disruptive thing which is happening in your sector, which is that IRCTC has gone on record and said that we are coming with a super app. Now, their super app means, you can book everything if you go to that app, not just railway tickets. Now, for a digital service provider, in this case, I'm using the word digital and service provider just to make a point here. How disruptive is that? Let's say IRCT super app versus the current industry stack of Ixigo or Expedia or Make My Trip.
See, I think if you look at why people come to Ixigo or Confirm Ticket, there are two apps in the train space that we run. There are three big reasons. One is that we provide crowdsourced information about accurate train running status. If your platform number changes, our app knows it faster because some user in our app would have already informed everybody else. If your seat location, your coach location changes, again, the information propagates in the system because we've built a community of millions of train travelers. And I think when it comes to bookings, right, all the OTAs have access to, IRCTC's booking API. So we all pretty much, have a level playing field in terms of the ability to sell tickets. But the reason why people actually do come to us is because of the customer experience that we've built on top, whether it's the user experience in our apps or whether it's the superior customer service that we provide. And we publish these stats every quarter that, we refund within 3 hours on average, and we essentially pick up 94.9% of our calls within 2 minutes. And those kind of things are valued a lot by the kind of travelers that come to us. So we actually believe that it's a good thing for the ecosystem, if the IRCTC is also sort of improving their experience and integrating more services in a super app, because end of the day, I think the customer expectations keep evolving. And I think we've been one unique company which has always been ahead of the time in terms of anticipating those customer expectations and building for those.
So, Alok, starting off in the new year, 2025, what is it that we can expect from you? Because you've, in the past, spoken about as to how operating leverages would kick in, what kind of a margin profile, and whether any inorganic or organic growth opportunities that you would be mulling, or already are, in fact.
So we've just acquired a company called Zoop, which delivers food directly on the seat for train travelers. Within a few weeks of going live with Zoop, we are already the second largest company in this space, delivering meals every day to thousands of train travelers. And I think in that sense, that's the most interesting thing that has happened recently from an acquisition perspective. And again, the way we think about customer experience is that when people travel, food is also very important, right? And that's why we chose to sort of make that an integral part of the entire experience in our app, as to getting it delivered directly to your berth without moving around. And I think in that direction, I think we keep evaluating several interesting companies and assets. I mean, most of the companies we've acquired historically, whether it's Confirmed Ticket, Abhibus, or Zoop, we had a relationship going many years back in tracking those companies, talking to the founders, understanding how they're thinking about building their companies. And I think we continue to do that with several assets out there. I think our strategy is very clear. We are already the market leading OTA on the train side. In terms of user base, we have the largest user base in the OTA space. A recent Morgan Stanley report showed that we have 48% of the MAU DAU that exist in the entire online travel ecosystem, far ahead of any of our competitors. So I think we're going to use that spread that we have across tier 2, 3, 4 cities to try and sell more flights, more hotels, more buses. And that's already visible in the last 2 quarters, where we were the fastest growing OTA, not just for trains, but also for flights and for buses, right? And so we'll continue doubling down on those categories. And I think margin expansion is one thing, but I think for us, growth is also very important alongside that. And I think we'll continue to try to demonstrate that we can grow faster than the overall OTA market.
So if you really have to talk about the way consumer tech company is measured, is that we look at GMV. The way an online travel company is measured is that everybody looks at that ratio called GMT, right? If my understanding is right, that's how it's measured, right?
GTV or
GTV,
GBV,
sorry.
right?
GTV.
Yes.
So what would be your GTV this year then?
Well, I'm not going to make forward-looking comments, but what I can say is that as we speak, right? I mean, we've been growing that number last quarter 40% year on year. We hit a close to $1.7 billion GTV run rate, right? So in that sense, if you assume that e-commerce is a 100 billion industry, last quarter we were already hitting a 1.7% of that, and continuing to grow that at 40%, right? So you can figure out how big a company this will look like in a few quarters.
Confident of maintaining a 30 to 40% growth for next 2 or 3 years? Because looking at your base, and if I let's say look at Make My Trip and some of your peers, where they are, you still a very young company, which means that the highway for you to grow at 30 to 40% for 2, 3, 4 years is easy.
I think 30 to 40% GTV level growth is definitely doable, and I'll tell you why. That even though on categories like trains, where obviously we are the leader already, and growing that fast might be a little more difficult. But when you look at categories like hotels, where we've just entered like a year back, right? We are the youngest OTA in India, but we are starting out with the largest user base, right? It's a very unique position to be in, because all we got to do is sell more things to our travelers, right? And the way we are going to do that is by building trust, by building utilitarian use cases, like we did on flights with our Flight Tracker Pro, where you can track your flights end to end, just like with a pilot grade flight tracking status, right? So I think we're doubling down on these kind of industry differentiating features. We are doubling down on the customer service and making that a differentiator. We're doubling down on the ability to give the fastest refunds, and with products like Ixigo Assured, you actually get it within minutes. And I think that's why we are growing this fast. We'll continue to sort of grow on the flights and buses. And remember that we are not taking share from anyone when we grow, because Ixigo is bringing first-time flyers to come and fly in India. Ixigo is bringing first-time online bus bookers to come and book buses online, right? So in that sense, we are growing the market, and that's how we are building share.
Wrap it up with one more point, and I'm again drawing a parallel here. You use the word e-commerce, I'll use the word quick commerce. Quick commerce is a high growth area, very high growth area. Size of the market is very large, but competition is intensified. I mean, from Tata's to Reliance, from existing players, and even now Amazon moving into quick commerce. What are the chances that the business which you are in, which is online ticketing, online hotel booking, that could see competition coming in from new players or existing players who are large, established, and they could really enter into this high growth area?
See, we are in a space which has been extremely hyper competitive from day one, right? I mean, if you think about online travel, right? Google's already there, Amazon's already there, Flipkart is already there, everybody is there, right? And yet, we are the second largest player by revenue, GTV, etc., without having burned through a lot of capital either, right? So I think it's really about who will build a better product and customer experience. And less to do about the fact that somebody has already got a large user base, etc. Because there are many companies with large user bases who have struggled also to build the travel category in the past. And globally, verticals have done far better than horizontals when it comes to travel as a category, because it's very complex. It's not as simple as it appears from the outside. There's a lot of nuances behind the scenes that domain experts actually work on. So even though I wish everyone luck who wants to enter this space, I can tell you that, it's not something new. Competition has always been around. And I think whoever serves the customer well deserves to win.
All right, good to know. Thanks so much for taking time out and joining in and giving us an all-round view on how business is shaping up, the competitive intensity, and what you're looking at for Ixigo as well.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.